Online databases, PHP and MySQL programming. How to select data from a MySQL database. The select statement, as presented here, is used to select data from one or more tables. We can also select all the columns using the asterisk character. How to select and filter data from a MySQL database. The where statement is used to filter records and to extract only those records that fulfill a specific condition, as we can see in the generic example. Here we can see a full code example which includes the process of select and filter data from a MySQL database. Explanation of the example. We set up the SQL query that selects the ID, first name and last name columns from the weblib table where the last name is Athens. The next line of code runs the query and puts the resulting data into a variable called result. Then the function numRows checks if there are more than 0 rows returned. If there are more than 0 rows returned, the function fetch puts all the results into an associative array that we can loop through. The while loop loops through the result set and outputs the data from the ID, first name and last name columns. How to select and order data from a MySQL database. The order by clause is used to sort the result set in ascending or descending order. The order by clause sorts the records in ascending order by default. To sort the records in descending order, use the DESK keyword. Here is the generic code description for this operation. The specific code which can add to our previous example in order to select and order the data in our database is the following. How to delete data from a MySQL table. The delete statement is used to delete records from a table. The generic code for this action is delete from and table name where some column equal some value. Notice the where clause in the delete syntax. The where clause specifies which record or records that should be deleted. If you omit the where clause, all records will be deleted. The code you have to add to our example in order to delete the record with ID equal 3 is the following. How to update data in a MySQL table. The update statement is used to update existing records in a table. The generic code for this action is update table name, set column 1 equal value, column 2 equal value 2, where some column equal some value. Notice the where clause in the update syntax. The where clause specifies which record or records that should be updated. If you omit the where clause, all records will be updated. Here we can see the use of delete statement in our full code previous example. Notice we delete data in the table with weblib which we have created in the previous module. Here we can see the use of update statement in our full code previous example. Limit data selections from a MySQL database. MySQL provides a limit clause that is used to specify the number of records to return. The limit clause makes it easy to code multi-page results or pagination with SQL and is very useful on large tables. Returning a large number of records can impact on performance. Assume you wish to select all records from 1 to 30 from a table called Weebly. The SQL query would then look like this. When the previous SQL query is run, it will return the first 30 records. What if we want to select records from 16 to 25? MySQL also provides a way to handle this by using offset. The SQL query says below, return only 10 records, start on record 16, offset 15. You could also use a shorter syntax to achieve the same result as the following.